to virtual AWANA. I know that I am late making this video, and I apologize. However, I am making it, so you do still get one, and, you know, kudos for that. Okay? Grace and all. We are trying, and I'm not guaranteeing that this is going to happen, but we are trying to get to a time where we can invite all of you guys and all of the leaders to a Sparky Zoom session, so that we can all, like, say hi, and, like, we miss you, and get to know what's going on in your lives, and, you know, we miss you, so we'd like to see you. I can't guarantee it's gonna happen, but be looking for an email, because if it does, you'll get it in an email. I don't remember what week this is anymore. I want to say 6, but I've lost track. It's past 2, okay? Week past 2. So, review. What did we learn the last time we talked about Psalms and Proverbs? What did we learn about God from Psalms and Proverbs? I'm pretty certain I didn't get any answers this time. If I did, it was probably from Scarlett. And she's normally very right. But I'll tell you guys, the answer they have, they want you to realize that God wants us to worship Him. And we do that through song. And we do that by being wise in our life. You guys remember we talked about how Psalms was a book of songs. Sorry, my neighbors are making noise. But it's a book of songs, so God wants us to worship Him through song. And the Proverbs was a book of wise sayings you can use to guide your life. So He wants us to live wise lives. And that was where we left off. Oh goodness, my folders are a mess. I've gotten very disorganized. I've been very organized this whole year. As a reminder, as always, you guys, before we get into lesson, can always email me. That is me and Mr. David's email address, gassonspbc@gmail.com. Email us, give us a shout out. Whenever you have sections ready, let us know. I know that Miss Sue's been doing sections. Mr. David's been doing sections. Mr. Josh has been doing sections, and Miss Wanda's been doing sections. So feel free to email us. We will make certain that we get somebody who can Zoom you or FaceTime you or Skype or whatever you need. We will make it happen, okay? So we know we've been going through the Old Testament, and we just did Psalms and Proverbs. One of the things that they have lessons on is about the kings of Israel and how they ruled and reigned, and it's a lot of, like, politics and stuff. And I don't know about you guys, but politics bores me, and I thought that you would probably be bored too. So I decided that we'll skip over some of that, A, because it's too many lessons, and B, because it's boring. So we're skipping over the fact that, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, but we're going to mostly skip it. So there were 19 evil kings who ruled in Israel. A lot of evil in one country. Like, wow. And because of this evil, like, you remember we talked about how Solomon he made bad choices, so the kingdom was going to be taken away from his son. Well, that happens a couple times where they go into captivity. So the first time, it's in Assyria, okay, which is just another country. They're taken captive in Assyria. And then the kings of Judah are talked about. Sorry. Because Israel splits into 2 nations, and it becomes Israel and Judah. So the kings of Judah, there were 11 evil ones. There were 7 good ones. So they had some good kings. That's nice. And then there were 2 that were both good and bad. And then there's captivity of Judah, so the other nation, in Babylon for 70 years. They are captive. And that's where they're at when we talk about David and his friends being taken captive. They were living in Judah, and then, what did I just say? Sorry, the Babylonians came in and they took them captive. Sorry, I'm tired. Y'all, it's been a long week, okay? Let me get my notes straightened out. All right, you ready? Because we're picking up with Daniel. And I know some of you guys have heard of Daniel, and you're really going to have heard of his friends, but I forgot to check this part. I'm pretty certain Daniel is the green guy throughout the whole story. If that changes, I'll let you know. But I'm pretty certain that that's the case. Okay, so here are Daniel and his 3 friends, and we'll get into them a little bit, but we've talked about them before. So Daniel and his 3 friends, the book of Daniel begins with them and the Babylonians taking over Jerusalem, okay? And they take 3 groups of captives to Babylon, so they're separate groups. So Daniel and his friends, they go with the first group to Babylon as well as the temple's treasures. So you guys remember that Solomon built the temple and they decorated it really pretty because it's the house of God. Like, you want it to look nice. Well, the Babylonians came in and they took all like the treasures and like the pretty, what are the things, the curtains. I almost called them the curtain hangers. But they took the curtains, like they took the nice stuff, the gold, like all of the stuff that was meant for God. And then took Daniel and his friends, of course, who were also meant for God, because God uses people. And they went back to Babylon. So there you can see in my little picture, see the little chains on their hands, they're captives. So they take them to Babylon, and they start training them to be, well, Babylonians, to act more like them, because they lived in different cultures. So they did things differently, okay? So they're teaching them how to be like them. They were given new names. So Daniel was called, we'll call him Daniel because it's much easier to say. But Daniel was called Belteshazzar? I'm not certain I said that right, but it's close. And then his 3 friends were Hananiah, who was called Shadrach, Mishael, who was called Meshach, and Azariah, who was renamed Abednego. I know last year, for those of you who were there, you have to remember Mr. Josh's story on Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, remember? Because King Nebi yeeted them into the fire. Well, that's the friends that he was going with in this picture. So there's Daniel, and there's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And I don't really know which one's which. It doesn't matter. Okay. So they were given new names, and then as part of their training, they were given food that was forbidden by the Jewish law. So sometimes God would forbid foods, and sometimes he'd do it for different reasons. Like some stuff that he forbade them, or told them not to eat, was because it couldn't be properly, like, you know how now they like cure meat, like that's what it's called, but it's like it's making it safe to eat and all that. Like, it wasn't safe then. It would make people really sick, and sometimes they'd die. So God told them not to eat it, and they didn't know that it was protecting them, but he said don't eat it, so they didn't. Okay? But anyway, so they were telling them that they had to eat this food that was forbidden to them by their laws. So Daniel appealed, and he got permission to eat only vegetables and water. So that's this is Daniel. He's got water, and he's holding, I think, a potato, okay? Because potato's a vegetable. He got permission to eat only vegetables and water. And after 10 days, Daniel and his friends were healthier than the men who were eating the king's food. And so from that point on, the king let Daniel and his friends eat what they wanted to. He said, it's working for you. Far be it from me to change the rule. Like, that's smart. You know, if his guys are looking healthier, goodness gracious. A lot of these pictures look a lot similar. So I gotta make sure I have the right one, okay? So, Daniel starts to serve the king, okay? During his captivity, God gave Daniel and his friends knowledge, skill, and wisdom that exceeded the knowledge, so it went past. It was better than the knowledge and the wisdom of the men who served the king. So Daniel ended up serving King Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, you guys remember King Nebi? No, Mr. Josh, I will never forget that lesson. It is very dear to my heart. Okay, so King Nebuchadnezzar has a dream that makes him, like, really upset. Okay, so he ordered the wise men in his council. Like, you know how a king's got a couple people around him who are always telling him, like, this would be smart. And he's got to decide in the end, but they kind of advise him on what he should and shouldn't do. Okay, well, Daniel was part of that group. Okay, but he told the wise men, he was like, come and tell me what this dream means. Okay, when the men came to Daniel to bring him to tell the king, Daniel said he needed some time to interpret the dreams. So the king granted him time, okay? I'm not actually certain what the spoons have to do with anything. Maybe it's their staffs because they're wise men, but I'm not really certain. But, I mean, they're there, so they look cool. The squiggly one looked kind of like he was holding a snake with a weird head. Maybe he was. I don't know. Anyways, so Daniel was given time to interpret the dream, and he and his friends started to pray for the interpretation of the king's dream. Because, you know, they're human, so they don't really know what it means. But God does. And God told Daniel what the dream meant. And so he went to the king, and he interpreted it. And the king realized, like, Nebuchadnezzar was like, that actually was true. Like, my goodness, he was so surprised. So the king, king realized that means that God that Daniel serves is the true God. Because, you know, in other countries, they sometimes worship other gods. But they're not the true God. So King Nebuchadnezzar and his friends in Babylon, they didn't worship God that we do. But now he realizes, he's like, well, this is legit. This is the true God. Okay? And he presents offerings and incense to God. Okay? If you guys could send me some extra words, that'd be good, because I don't have any today. Okay? And Daniel got promoted. Okay? The king promoted Daniel and his friends to really high positions in the kingdom? I don't know, whatever it was, in Babylon, okay? Because we saw that happen with Daniel, not Daniel. Oh my goodness, I've totally blanked on his name. Joseph, sorry. Joseph in the coat of many colors, and you guys remember he was sold to slavery in Egypt, but he did really good things, and he interpreted dreams, and made the king feel really good. So the king, in the end, like, he went to jail and all that first, but after that, he was promoted to second in command. Yeah, no, his friends got promoted to really high places. Him and his friends. He's one of them. Okay. So, Daniel served Nebuchadnezzar until he died, and then King Darius took over, okay? Believe he's Nebu's son, but I haven't actually checked that. So he put, I'm going to say this wrong, and it doesn't matter, satraps or satraps, or I don't know what it is, but he put 120 of these guys in charge over his kingdom. And then, to kind of keep them in place, he put 3 governors in charge over them. And Daniel is one of them. So see down here, there's not 120 of them because I don't have the space for that. But those are my satraps or whatever they are. And then these are my governors. And there's Daniel. And then there's the king. So that's like your chain of command. It goes the king, and then the governors, and then the 120 men that I can't pronounce, okay? But Daniel did such a good job and was so faithful and did just excellent all around that the king started thinking about putting Daniel in charge over the whole realm. So he'd be second in command, is what he's saying, okay? This caused the other governors to become his enemies. The governors and the other guys in the picture, okay, all the other guys in charge are really jealous. And they wanted to get him in trouble, but the only way they could do that was to use his service to God, because he was doing such a good job. Like, he wasn't breaking any rules. They couldn't find anything he was doing wrong. So they're like, we've got to make something he's doing wrong. So let's use his thing with God, because nobody else there worshiped God. Like, it wasn't the cool thing. All right, so what they do is they persuaded the king to issue a decree. That's like a law, okay? So he made a law that anyone who was found worshiping any god or man other than the king would be thrown to the lions, okay? So that's the 2 governors handing the king a scroll with a new decree written on it, and he's going to sign it and be like, yeah, that sounds good. I like people worshiping me. Like, I'm a pretty cool dude. Can't worship anybody else. Daniel heard about it. And Daniel immediately went to pray, like he does every day. I think it says he prays by his window 3 times every day, because he's faithful to God. And that was their trap, right? Like, they know David prays every single day. So if we can get him to pray after we make this decree, we've got him. Like, it's the end of David. So what did they do? They Daniel, sorry. They rounded up Daniel, and they put him before the king, and they said, King, he's been praying to somebody else. And although the king really liked Daniel, he wasn't able to change the law. Like, it's been put into effect. He can't just change it. So what happens to Daniel? He was thrown into the lion's den. Can you guys see all that? It's a big picture, sorry. And before sealing the den, the king stated that Daniel's God would deliver him. Okay, and then once they threw him in, they rolled a large stone over the den, and it was sealed, so he couldn't get out. He was trapped in there with the lions. You think they were hungry lions? Or were they like lions like in Lion King, or what kind of lions, you know? Okay. But God protected Daniel, okay? The king was very, very disturbed. He was upset that he put Daniel in the lion's den. And he spent the whole night fasting and awake, okay? And early the next morning, he went to the den, and he called out, he said, Daniel! And Daniel was like, King, I'm here! Okay? And Daniel stated that an angel shut the mouths of the lions because he was innocent. So the king had him taken out of the den. Like, lions aren't going to touch him, what is he going to do? Declares him innocent. Oh, I'm at the end, I didn't realize it, sorry. Okay? And after Daniel was taken out of the lion's den, the king had Daniel's enemies, the ones who had accused him falsely, okay? He had them thrown into the lion's den. King Darius then praised God, and he commanded that throughout his kingdom, the God that Daniel worshipped, the true God of Israel, okay, he should be feared. So this is King Darius worshiping God. Remember, my purple triangle means God. And that's the story of Daniel. Daniel and the lion's den. And of course, Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego. We've heard about. And if you haven't, don't worry. In the next 2 years, you will. So, let me see. I haven't actually read these questions. Why did Daniel's enemies want to get rid of him? Oh, I'm sitting on my couch. It's uncomfortable. I need a new couch. Because he was favorite, right? He was King Darius's favorite governor. And they were jealous. What did Daniel do when he heard that he wasn't allowed to worship his God? What was his response? Right, he went and prayed. He stayed faithful to God. It didn't matter that these people wanted him dead. He was going to keep praying to God. Did I mention that the lions were supposed to eat him? I feel like that was obvious, but I didn't actually say it. They were supposed to throw him in the lion's den, and he was supposed to be eaten. But that did not happen because God protected him. Because God protects you when you're faithful, right? So, oh, that just ruined my next question, which is what happened to Daniel in the lion's den. And yeah, you guys remember he said that an angel of God shut the mouths of the lions. Isn't that a pretty cool thought? Like, because I kind of picture, and I don't know if this is exactly how it happened, but I kind of picture it that, like, an angel came in and is just, like, holding the jaws of the lions shut. Like, lions are strong. So, like, that's awesome to me, just to picture that, like, because angels protecting, you know, so it's kind of cool. But yeah, he wasn't harmed because God protected him. How did the king respond when he found out Daniel wasn't killed by the lions? What did he do? You guys remember? I got my picture here. This is your hint. That's right. He worshipped God. He was like, this is it. This is legit. Just like King Nebi figured out, right? So what do we learn? And of course, this is the one that I want you guys to email me or type a comment or whatever. What do we learn about God from these verses? Before I actually answer it, because I'm not entirely with it, let me remind you, this is my email address, gastonspbc@gmail.com. Woo woo! Email me, text me. Well, you don't have my phone number, so don't text me. But you can email me, and I get that on my phone, so it's kind of like texting. Okay? I did tell you guys about the new buck system, so of course, if you comment on this video, let me know your favorite part, something like that. Email me, let me know something about it that you liked. And I believe I said those $2. I wrote it down, though, so don't worry if I said it was more. All right, I love you guys. I hope we will see you soon. Stay safe. Bye.